Hi everyone. Before I start this video, I just want to tell you that I got a little bit of a cold or allergies or something. I got actually using a cough drop, so my apologies for that if I cough a little bit. Also, I'm making this video very early in the morning, so people are going to work, and there's the local train is sounding out there, so you may hear a train now and then. That's fine. But I wanted to say that I'm glad that this video is going to be a little bit more of a discussion. Lately I've been making a lot of videos just showing my record collection, and that's fine. That's the reason that we're here, a lot of us in the vinyl community. We like to show the records we've got and everything, but I've been thinking for a while now that something that's been lacking has been people actually talking more, responding to one another's videos. I mean, that seems to be dying out a lot here, what we call the VC, vinyl community. Well, this is a response basically to a video that Robert Z made. And first of all, Robert, I'm glad you're making videos again. I know from time to time you take a break, and it's good to see that you're making videos. And I just watched your video, and it's a subject that I've actually weighed in on in the past, and it's a subject that I can't help weighing in on. I'm a sucker for this topic. And his thread was called something about, is enough ever enough? And it hits home to me because I could relate to everything he was feeling and expressing in that video, and I wanted to do a proper response to it. As I've said, I kind of have walked over this territory before, but I don't think it's been recently. It's been a while, and I don't even know where the video is. So some of you may have heard this philosophy of mine, and if not, I know I get a lot of new subscribers that watch me, so hopefully it'll be interesting and you'll see where I stand on this. Basically, the question is, those of us like myself, like Robert Z, people who collect stuff, whatever it is, in this case records. Now in my case, I have records, which of course you can see over there in the record cabinet, and behind me you see shelves of DVD movies. I also collect movies, and those shelves, I've got like 3 bookcases worth, and each one of those shelves is 2 rows deep. I mean, I don't know how many movies there are, over 1,000, Don't know how many records I have either. I don't keep a database or anything like that. I've got to be at least 1,000 records by now, I'd guess, close to it. This whole topic comes up frequently. It's something that I think about on a regular basis too, especially as I get older. I've been thinking about this for at least 15 years or so. The question is, how many years do we have really left to live? We're all going to go sometime. We don't know when. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be 30, 40 years from now. But when, how long are we going to be here? And in the meantime, we're amassing this huge collection of stuff. Is it even worth collecting after a while? I mean, what are we doing with it? Robert made up the point that, and I can relate to it. He used Bob Dylan as just a general example. You could buy a Bob Dylan record, get it home, clean it, put it in a protective sleeve, maybe listen to it once, spot check it, maybe play the whole thing, maybe just spot check it to make sure it's good, that there's no defects. Then we file it away on the shelves, and that's it. When are we going to pull that out again? If I live to be 89 or 90, am I ever going to play it again? Now, again, just for effect, I'll go back to this. Let me just pull the whole camera here, okay? I mean, look at this. That's a ton of records. And this is not all the records I have. There are more records in another room. And look at, and yeah, I'll show you. I'm not proud of this mess. I have to get the file, but there's stuff that's still bagged that I bought. Here's some stuff hanging out there. Stuff I received in the mailboxes. I have to kind of clean this pile up a little bit. And so you know where I'm coming from there. When is enough ever enough? Now, the basic idea is, you don't know how many years we have left, obviously. I'm trying to get this camera just where I want it. I'm sorry about this, but I don't know. You see what you look like, this old shirt. Anyway, you know, my feeling on this is that there's a lot of ways we could be amusing ourselves. I think life is very short. We're here for a short time. So let's amuse ourselves, as long as we don't hurt anybody. Some people drink. This is an old, you know, party line, you know. Some people drink, some people do drugs, some people smoke cigarettes, some people gamble it all away. I buy records, I buy movies, I buy posters, I buy things that make me happy. Now, I've been like this since I was a little boy. I mean, from the youngest age I could possibly remember. I mean, 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, I had a little Mickey Mouse record player with Mickey Mouse on it, and I would sit down and play my records. I loved my mother's 45s, which gave me a lot of appreciation for older 50s music and early 60s music. But I really got into it, and I've been like that forever. And then as I got older, as I got to be 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, I would just basically collect things, whatever I could find, whatever I could buy. That made me feel happy, made me feel good. Was it fulfilling some kind of void in my life? I don't know. I mean, it's not conscious up here. Maybe it's back there in the subconscious. I mean, you know, I was a child of divorce. I mean, that never bothered me much, to be honest with that I was aware of. Maybe I was trying to compensate for that. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me at all. The main thing that matters is enjoying yourself in the now. As I said, we don't know how long we have. Now, I've struggled with this problem of, I say problem, I don't mean the collecting. The problem of how am I going to listen to all these records? How am I going to watch all those movies back there in the relatively short period I have? Robert Z did something where he had I don't know if it was a database. He said he had, I believe the number was 2801, 2,801 pieces of music or records in his collection. And 10 years ago, he went on a dedicated mission to try to play every item. And I think it's 10 years later, he still hasn't gotten through all of them. And that's what I mean by a problem. I mean, I've struggled with that myself, saying to myself, well, gee, how many years do I have left? Now, I mean, at my age now, like I say, anything could happen, but I'm talking about best case scenario. The best case scenario, I mean, I have maybe 30 years left. Well, it's silly. I could have 40 years left. Who knows? But I just mean thinking about years left where you're somewhat vital and sharp and healthy. Sometimes I don't feel that sharp right now. But the thing is, you know, you wonder, how many years do we have left to do all this stuff? And I used to get really bogged down with that. I used to say to myself, this is crazy. There's no reason to collect. Why bother? I mean, I can't possibly listen to all those records. I mean, out of those records there, I don't think I've listened to 10% of them yet. I have this new apartment where this is my setup. I have my turntable right here on the side. That affords me a great opportunity to be playing my records on the turntable while I'm here on my laptop computer and enjoying online activities, you know, message boards, whatever I enjoy, YouTube. I'm able to play records in the back, so that gets a lot of stuff listened to that I might not have listened to otherwise. There used to be a situation where in the place I lived before, my stereo was out in the living room, and unless I was going to take a record and go out in the living room and just sit there, sit back like this and make a dedicated effort to play the whole album and really concentrate on it, I'd never be listening to it. This way I could have it on kind of as background music, so I get more records played than I would ordinarily. But even then, I can go weeks and weeks, literally weeks, without playing a single record. That has to change. Same thing with my movie collection. In a lot of ways, the movie collection is even more difficult. Because with a record, at least you can put it on in the background, right? Listen to it, what you're doing. With a movie, you have to sit there and you have to really focus on what you're watching. Just the other night, a couple of nights ago, my nephew came over. He wanted to watch a movie, and my girlfriend and my nephew and I watched a movie together. We picked a movie from my DVD collection, a movie that I never opened. I bought it as soon as it came out, and I looked at the year on the video. DVD said it came out in 2004. So that means I've owned that video for about 11 years. Never opened it till now. We put the movie on, and as we watched it, it kind of went over like a lead balloon. It was a comedy, and it didn't really resonate well. I had seen it in the movies. It's a movie from 1982. It's a comedy, and at the time I thought it was really good, and I saw it on HBO maybe in the early 80s, and I liked it. It really didn't do anything for the three of us, so here's a movie that's been on my shelf sealed for 11 years. Finally opened it up, put it on, didn't really get that much out of it. I may keep it because there's still some sentimental value there for me, but the thing is, this is a typical case of most of what I have there. You think it's bad with the records. Records is nothing. The movies back there, I never put them on. I can go months without watching a movie. Why do you have them? Well, for me, as I struggle with this situation, I've learned something that people used to tell me. When I used to struggle with this, people used to tell me, look, man, the whole thing is that you're happy to have them. You just enjoy having them. And I used to say, oh, that's not enough. That's not enough. I mean, movies have to be watched. Records have to be played and listened to. What good is it? Since then, I've come to understand what they mean, and my girlfriend's been very supportive in that. She encourages me to collect, unlike a lot of other people, wives, girlfriends who kind of discourage you and want you to tone it down. She encourages me to keep it up and buy more, and that's great that she does that. And I see what she means. To me, life is short. We don't know how much time we have here. I don't mean to repeat myself, but you have to amuse yourself best you can, as long as you don't hurt anybody. And if that means that I get a kick, which I still do, I go into the flea market and finding that special grail, and how much Robert Z loves that word grail, but it's the only thing that came out. Sorry. A special record, something that you really want. It doesn't have to be a record. It could be anything. I mean, I just bought a whole bunch of Beatles 8-track tapes. I'm never going to play the Beatles 8-track tapes. I bought Beatles 8-track tapes in a case. And in the case, all the tapes are there. And I keep my Beatle collection in there. Every once in a while, I pull that case out, open the lid, take them out, look at them, and relive the great feelings I had in the 70s when I was collecting them, when I used to listen to 8-tracks. That's enough. People know I collect a lot of records by, like, I'll give you an example, like Connie Francis, Frank Sinatra. I recently got on a Frank Sinatra craze. I went out and I bought, I haven't counted them, but it's at least 50 to 60 albums of Frank Sinatra. Out of those 60 albums, I played maybe 5 of them. I enjoyed them. Well, there was one that I didn't enjoy so much, but the other 4 I really enjoyed. So it's not that I don't enjoy the music, but the question is, why was I so obsessed with Frank Sinatra? I don't know. I got on a Sinatra kick. I'm a big fan of record covers, album covers. I'm sure a lot of you out there who collect know what I mean. Believe it or not, with Connie Francis, the same thing. I've got about more like 70 albums of Connie Francis, and I love the album covers. I love the way she looks on them. I love the sound of her voice. Now, I played more Connie than I have Frank. I probably played about 15, 20 Connie Francis albums, but there's a lot more to go, and I've enjoyed. I just like her voice. But the point I'm making here, to get back on track, is even if I didn't play any of these records, like just the other day, I was organizing those records, and I took them out, and I just flipped past the covers, and I got like a buzz out of just having the covers, like a nice painting or a relic or a piece of artwork or something like that. So to me, it's worth having just to have the piece. I never used to get that. I used to say, no, you got to play the records. That's why Robert Z brought up the subject of sealed albums. I have some albums that are sealed. I never intend on opening them. And just having them fresh and mint. Having an album from 1966 that's never been opened and looks beautiful, as fresh as the day it was put on the store shelves. That gives me a joy and a happiness that I can't describe. And why should I deny myself that? A lot of people give in to their age too much, I think. Recently in my record store owner was talking to a customer, and I overheard him. And the record store owner was saying, I'm 57 years old now. I just don't need all this stuff anymore. So gradually he's bringing his own stuff into his store to sell. He goes, I used to collect all this, but I'm 57 now. He says, I'm just, not into it. And that's sad to me. You know, if we give in, if we say, well, we're getting old now, those of us who are, like me, I'm in my 50s, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, if you start saying to yourself, you know what, what's the point anymore? I'm getting old. I'll never have time to listen to all of this. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm going to die eventually. What's the point? I think that's sad. I think once you start thinking like that, you're kind of giving in to aging. Whether it's midlife crisis, whether it's getting old age, being a senior citizen, whatever it is, you're giving into it. And I think that's unfortunate. I know this is going to be a long video, but I have a lot to say on it. You know, back in the year 2000, I did something that Robert Z kind of did. I didn't have a computer at the time, but I had an index card case. And on the index cards, what I did was I wrote down every movie title that I owned at the time on DVD or VHS tape, whatever I had. And I put them at A to Z alphabetically. And the goal was, every time I wanted to watch a movie, the goal was to take one of those, the card out of the movie that I watched, write the date that it was viewed, and then take the card and put it to the back of the box. And the idea is, every time I want to watch a movie, watch something fresh that I haven't seen yet. And I wanted to see as an experiment how long it would take me to get through all those 1,000 films or whatever it was. And I used to do the math. I used to say, oh, well, you know, if I watch one movie a day, let's suppose out of 365 days in the year, we eliminate 65 days just to even it out a little bit. 65 days you're allowed to skip movies or music. You're allowed to watch and hear nothing for 65 days, whether it's vacation or too busy or responsibility. 300 days out of the year, though, you have to watch a movie and you have to listen to some music from your collection. And I did the math to see what it was, and I realized even if I lived to be 90 or 100, I wouldn't be able to listen to all my stuff even one time, let alone multiple times. And isn't that the reason that we own it? Sure, if we get through our collection, like Robert Z was saying, if we get through our collection one time and watch every movie and listen to every record at least once, we've accomplished something. But isn't the idea of owning, in theory, to play things multiple times, to enjoy every one of these records in here 15, 20, 30 times each? That's, and the same thing with the movies. Isn't that the idea? But it'll never happen. And I'm okay with that. That's the whole key here. If there's one thing that I want to drive home that I'm saying here is, as I look at the time, okay, the idea is that I'm cool with it now. Occasionally I get a little antsy and I say, like Robert was saying, oh, what am I doing with all this stuff, you know? How am I going to listen to it all? How am I going to watch it all? God, what am I doing with it? You know? But it sounds corny, but when I walk in here in the morning and I look at those records, I just look at the cabinet that's full, and it gives me a buzz, it gives me a rush for a second. I'm like, I'm happy. And that's what it comes down to. Be contentment. We all know the thrill of the hunt. You know, we all know what it's like to, as collectors, to go out there, whether it's a record store, whether it's online, whether it's at a flea market or thrift store. We know what it's like to find something and say, oh man, that's great. You know, if we get a good bargain, maybe $1 or $2, whatever it is, and we want to acquire that piece and file it in there. And that's the joy. That should be the joy. I know a lot of people won't agree with this, but it's not necessarily in the playing of the record, which I don't want to give the impression that I don't have any interest in hearing the music I buy. I do. And especially, as I said, with this setup, I play it all the time while I'm on the computer. But it doesn't kill me, doesn't freak me out if I don't get to it. And that's really at the heart of it. I feel like I'm leaving something out here. There's a lot I wanted to say. Usually when I shut the video off, I say, oh, I forgot to say such and such. Should I do the video over again, you know? After I make this video, I'm going to be making a new Beatles update already. And the Beatles update, I got to tell you, I think I got some good stuff in it. I mean, I really have some interesting stuff and some stuff that I actually got online. I'm starting to do a little online shopping now. Oh, I know what I wanted to bring up. Shopping, spending money. I know a guy who's the opposite of me. There's a guy I know who I work with, and we get together once in a while. And the guy is really tight with the dollar. I gotta be honest with you, okay? He's the type of guy that even though he and his wife make good money and they both work, and they don't have any children. They're both, you know, a couple without kids, and they have the money. They don't spend anything. They don't want to spend it. This guy, every time we get together, I mean, we go to a record store. He's not really into records. He's into CDs, but I've seen him, you know, try to get a guy down from a $7 CD to like $3. He doesn't want to spend the $7 on a used CD. And then I've seen him at some other time take that CD he's got no use for anymore and go into another record store and try to flip it and try to make some money on it. He doesn't want to spend. He'll have coupons with him to Burger King, you know, 50% off, or two, you know, 2 for the price of 1. Hey, let's go to lunch. You know, you have money. I don't understand. You're not destitute. What's the problem? Everybody's different. Now I'm the other way around. You know, maybe we all have extremes, and we all need some kind of restraint. In my case, that's certainly true. I'm the other way. I spend. I live paycheck to paycheck. Not to divulge all this personal stuff. I mean, I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve and tell everybody my business, but, you know, Robert Z always makes these jokes about, you know, the electric company coming to turn my electric off and stuff like that. It's never happened. You know, I've always managed to have a roof over my head, food to eat, the electric is on. But I come close sometimes because, you know, I believe, you know, life is precious. We got to live now. But that's not to say that in my case, where my friend has to learn to cut loose a little and spend a little, I have to learn to hold back a little bit. I mean, I'm going to retire. It's hard to say exactly when now. You can't predict the future. I'm hoping 7 to 10 years. So, you know, I have to really do something about that and keep an eye on the future. I believe in living in the present, and also always looking back fondly at things you've done in the past, because what's the point of doing them if you don't remember them and recycle them in your mind and relive them? And, you know, the things you've done in the past had to have been done for enjoyment and to relish them. The future we don't know, you know, but in case you do happen to live, or I happen to live to 95 years old, I damn well better have some kind of money saved or something. So I have to get that together. Anyway, I think I covered it all. You know, I would really like to hear responses. I know people just like to make comments. Not many people make videos on this, but some of you guys out there, like, I liked what you said in the comments. Tim Allen was one of them. Tim, if you're listening to this, I enjoyed what you said in Robert Z's the comments section. But I'd like to see some comments, some well, you know, comments, videos. I don't expect anybody to make videos, but anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to make the Beatles update video now. Keep collecting.